Augustine's childhood. It's on page 47 of Volume B. It's from his work called Confessions, which is really just a compilation of a bunch of works where he's really talking to God as if God is like a friend down the street. It's really interesting. I think you guys already read it like a few weeks ago. But for this activity in my presentation, I want you guys to all go up here and get a note card. So I have one person for you. Alright, take a few minutes to read your card with your group and form an answer. Please make it an in-depth answer, not just a boring answer. We have something to actually talk about.
Confessions, my bad.
You have to actually kind of Alright, y'all ready? Everybody ready? All right. Okay. First group. Read your question and give me a good answer. If it's a bad answer, I will keep asking you questions.
Okay. On the front of our card, it says God. And the question is, as a group, what do you feel was Augustine's, or Augustine, whatever his name is?
Augustine.
Augustine, okay. Purpose of talking to God in such a familiar tone. Okay, so reading some of the excerpts from Childhood, book 1, we decided to say that he talked to God in such a familiar tone because he wanted to relay relatability, and so that the relationship he had with God was like on more of like a personal note, like he was close to him as an individual, opposed to on like a religious basis. And I think a lot of us, well, I know some of us in my group said we can relate to that because we're not like the typical like religious type of prayer type of thing going on. We kind of talk to God like he's our friend, like our friend. So.
Okay. So our question was, who did Augustine use to bring evidence of God's love? What overall gift was Augustine referring to? So basically, Augustine was saying that, you know, when he was talking to God, he was speaking about family and how through his family he sees God's love. You know, he spoke specifically about being breastfed, and he said that he wasn't breastfed by his mother, but he was. But he was saying that that's God, which is real, but you know, it was his mom's. You know, but so yeah, he's basically saying that you fed me through them. You know, clothing, shelter, all of that is you know, it's through them, but you are the reason. And they are the gift. And that's how I know that you love me.
So did you also say that the overall gift was really just a gift of life?
It was a gift of love.
Okay.
Yeah.
My two gentlemen in the back. All right.
We had memory. And the question is, after reading, what did Augustine say about memory? What do you think of memory? He had first said which one is more of a loss.
Can you read it so they can actually know?
It says, agreed upon for the use of letters. To human life, the loss from a man's memory of reading and writing, or the loss of poetic imaginings. We say poetic imaginings because if you don't have nothing like strong, if you don't imagine something or you don't think real strong, because if you could just read and write and say I wrote a Bible, but if you don't put anything in there,
there's no imagination, then there's no.
If there's nothing in it, you can't just people just they'll tell people.
Exactly. Okay. That's a tough one, I know.
we had infancy, and the question was, as a group, what idea was most interesting during Augustine's discussion of his infancy? And why? Okay, so like reading the infancy, like he didn't really realize what he was doing, and like he said, after a while he starts to see stuff and he starts to see it, like, but he can't express himself. It's like every, like, you know, we all want to have that experience. Like I never felt like that. I don't remember my childhood. I don't remember anything before 10, honestly.
Wow.
Exactly, I have a bad memory. So it's like what I found interesting was the fact that he literally could remember trying to like say something and trying to get something, but he couldn't say it because he wasn't able to talk. So I thought that was really interesting.
Okay.
Well, we had Boyhood, and found it rather interesting that he talks about how in his boyhood he was taught the letters, read and write, but he felt that he was not taught by the elders how to learn. He wasn't taught what he was taught. He learned it himself, and he attributes that all to God's ability to give him the power to learn. Although I did find an interesting juxtaposition that he later on goes to say that if his learning proved insufficient, he was soundly beaten, which is a pretty hefty divergence from today.
Ours is prayer, and our question is, what ideas were covered during Augustine's discussion of prayer? And the second part of our question was to relate. Now he prayed, I'm pretty sure, meaningless things, like not getting in trouble, as we just talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was forced taught things, so he had these tantrums that came along with that. So how do we relate that? Well, we all take that one class, like statistics, or human geography, or some class. It's a meaningless class, and we have very little expectation, but to get an A, just to get out of that class with an A. We don't learn as much as we can from that class, so we're going to take that for granted. And because it's not forced learning, but we all have that little tantrum sometime during this semester in our mental mind. Like we don't want to be in that class at all. We just don't want to be there.